Welcome back, gamers, to Top 10 Gaming. I'm your host, Johnny Rogers, and if you happen to be new here, we post daily content on all things gaming, so make sure you tap that subscribe button to never miss another video. Also, make sure you stay all the way until the end of this video, as we will be bringing you some sweet behind-the-scenes content. Mostly me messing up, probably. We'll see. Plus, leave us a comment down below who your favorite Webkinz character is, and while you ponder that, let's jump into today's list of the top 10 Webkinz creepypastas you've never heard of. At number 10, the Penguin Virus. First and foremost, we have to start with a collection of rumors revolving around the game Webkinz. Believe it or not, these are real accounts from people who have played Webkinz firsthand and experienced some pretty horrific things. Whether or not it's a hoax is for you to decide. The Penguin Virus is based around the rumor that a killer is using a virus to attack your Webkinz pets. The protagonist says that you'll get a message from Mrs. Birdie, except it's in a black envelope. When you open the envelope, your screen will go dark and a penguin with red eyes will appear on your screen. Terrifying. Within the darkness, the protagonist says that they could hear someone screaming and some other creepy noises. Once the screen came back on, they swear that all of their Webkinz pets were dead, lying in a pool of blood. In at number 9, the Bear. The protagonist in this story noticed while playing Webkinz that there was a suspicious red stain on the ground outside of their home. It looked very similar to a pool of blood, but they couldn't really tell. When they entered the home, a shadowy figure in the shape of a teddy bear raced across the screen. Creeped out by this, they decided to make their Webkinz go back outside. Although as soon as they did, they noticed again a bear-shaped shadow lurking in the trees. The bear's eyes were glowing red and it appeared to be holding a knife. Wherever they went, the protagonist could see this killer bear stalking them throughout the game. Out of nowhere, the bear appeared and started attacking the gamer's Webkinz character. Rumor has it that when this happens, a large blood stain will appear on the floor of your home, and no matter how hard you try, you can never remove it. It just serves as a reminder that the bear is always watching. In at number 8, the Bomb. The following story involves the character Dr. Quack and the random killings he participates in. Our protagonist said that this creepy story began while they were waiting in Dr. Quack's office. Apparently, if you click on the posters in the office 32 times, something will possess the character and make them do some pretty crazy things. For starters, his eyes will turn red and immediately he'll whip out a chainsaw to try to cut off your Webkinz head. The gamer somehow manages to escape this nightmare, but the torture did not stop there. When they made it back to their home, inside was a black box just kind of sitting there. Wanting to know what exactly this thing was, the protagonist approaches and clicks on the box. Suddenly, a Neopet popped out and immediately slashed the neck of the Webkinz character. That is not healthy competition. Then, their screen went black as well, and through the speakers they could hear more slashing noises along with the sound of an explosion. In at number 7, the Double Murder. The following creepypasta has to be true just because in the story the protagonist says that the same thing happened twice to a friend of theirs while playing, so gotta be true. In the first scenario, they received a message from Mrs. Birdie, and then out of nowhere 3 boxes appeared in front of them. The boxes were colored black, red, and yellow. When his friend opened the yellow one, all of her items and Kinz cash were taken away. When she opened the black box, all of her pets were then beaten to death. Why she decided to click on the next box, I have no idea. After watching all of your pets be beaten to death, that should have been where she drew the line, but nope, because this is a creepypasta and for some reason they always ignore these red flags. Clicking on the red box only escalated the horrific scene that was playing out before her eyes. When the red box opened, the sound of a chainsaw roared through her speakers, and out of nowhere, just the heads of Mrs. Birdie and Dr. Quack were floating around the poor beaten pets as they let out an evil laugh. In at number 6, the Disguise. One day while a Webkinz player was minding their own business, just walking around their home, Dr. Quack entered the house. This was odd because the other characters in the game never really came to your home, you more so would visit them. He just stood there in the corner though, watching as the Webkinz pets moved around. Dr. Quack stood in this corner for approximately 10 minutes and honestly started to really freak out the gamer. When they looked closer at the character, something was certainly wrong. It looked like Dr. Quack, but at the same time, it looked like a costume. Before they could figure out what was happening, this Dr. Quack looking character murdered their Webkinz pet right in front of them. Then, just like that, Dr. Quack disappeared. Not too long after, Mrs. Birdie entered the home and began apologizing for what the doctor had done to their pet. Although, what Mrs. Birdie didn't realize was that the skin of Dr. Quack was stuck to her feet. She had skinned the doctor, used it as a disguise, and murdered the gamer's pets, then tried to blame it on the doctor. Gross. In at number 5, Mrs. Birdie. Mrs. Birdie seems to be a really creepy character in this game due to the sheer volume of creepypastas that depict her as this psychopath. One day, the protagonist of this story is just sitting around their house house, and suddenly Mrs. Birdie came in and started following their Webkinz around wherever they went. Then a speech bubble popped up and they heard Mrs. Birdie say, "I am Mrs. Birdie and I'm going to kill all of your Webkinz." Apparently, Jesse Pinkman from Breaking Bad is using Mrs. Birdie as a disguise now. No matter what they tried, the game wouldn't allow the user to sign out, and even after restarting their computer, they couldn't seem to shake the creepy Mrs. Birdie / Jesse Pinkman. In at number 4, dressing up. This story is again another first-hand account of Mrs. Birdie dressing up as Dr. Quack and entering a user's home without permission, only to stalk their pets. They had heard a story from a fellow user that when this happened to them, Mrs. Birdie just chopped off her pets' heads and then disappeared. So while playing, they were already on edge about something similar happening to them. One day, a Lil'Kinz poodle came into their house and looked absolutely terrified. A slew of text boxes filled the screen as it warned them about Mrs. Birdie. Immediately after the Lil'Kinz left the home, the lights went out in their house entirely and they could hear the sounds of faint screams. When they came back on, sure enough, Mrs. Birdie, who was dressed as Dr. Quack, appeared and proceeded to brutally murder all of the gamer's pets. The lights then flickered and Mrs. Birdie was nowhere to be seen, except now, written on the wall, in blood, was the words, "I'm always watching." Mrs. Birdie, you scurry. You scurry. In at number 3, the cat. According to this creepypasta, that cat, Miss Tabby Von Meow, great name, is far more devious than we would have ever expected. Although if you're a dog person like me, you'll think, yeah, cats are insane, never trust a cat. One day though, when a Webkinz player had entered the employment office, that's a thing, that cat would not stop talking. It just droned on and on and on about nothing. Suddenly the cat pulled out a shotgun and blasted off a round directly at the player's Webkinz pet. Once it finally was able to hit their pet and kill them, the player was frozen at their computer. Where do you go from here when a cat kills your pet? A cutscene began to play and it showed Miss Cowline break into their home and proceed to steal all of their furniture. Then, to make matters worse, Mr. Art took any and all of their Kinz cash so that they could never purchase new furniture again. Creepy pastas. In at number 2, I'll Find You. The following creepypasta is based on a story written by a 9-year-old user. They begin by saying that on their birthday, their mom and dad got them a Webkinz plushie doll. It was a pom-pom kitty plushie and it came with this small blue piece of paper that gave them access to the Webkinz world. As the name suggests, it opened up a whole new world for them. Now they could play as their pet character in this world and do things like design their home, buy them a bed, and a ton of other amenities we won't spend too much time listing. Eventually their parents allowed them to start using the chat rooms, which were also called clubhouses. This is also where their first experience with Webkinz started to go downhill. One of the first people online that they met was a user who was using a golden retriever character. They exchanged a few words before the other player was already asking if they could be friends. Randomly, this mysterious character created and hung a photo on the wall that showed both the dog and cat Webkinz side by side. The protagonist was amazed because they had no idea that that was even possible. Then the other user asked the pom-pom kitty to follow them into this room. When they entered, everything seemed darker than usual. The walls were a depressing gray, and as they turned to ask the golden retriever what was going on, the other player had disappeared. They frantically searched for the doorway that they just came through, but it was gone. Suddenly they could hear the sound of something scratching at a door through their speakers. As they leaned in to hear what was making that noise, a loud scream blared through the sound system, nearly knocking them out of their chair. That's when a text bubble appeared that simply read, "I'll find you." Last but not least, in our number 1 spot, The Faces. This creepypasta actually took place while a player was on Webkinz at school. The protagonist describes that during recess one day, it was raining so much that the teacher allowed the students to play Webkinz in the computer room. Everyone was on Webkinz, so they were excited about the prospect of getting to play online now with all of their friends. However, when the game loaded up for them, both Miss Birdie and Dr. Quack's face popped onto the screen and began screaming. Their eyes were glowing red, but before they could alert the person sitting next to them, the screen faded to black. When the game finally started, they could barely see what was going on. Their screen was just continuously flashing. They entered their home to check on their pets, but were shocked to find that all of them were dead. One by one, the students screamed out as each and every one of them walked in to find that all of their pets had been brutally murdered. And that has been the top 10 Webkinz creepypastas you've never heard of. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, show us some love by tapping that like and subscribe button. Plus, leave us a comment down below with your thoughts on this list. I know I have lots of thoughts on this list. And for more videos like this one, just click that playlist on the screen. From Top 10 Gaming, I'm Johnny Rogers. Until next time, take care. Amidst the darkness, amidst the darkness, the protagonist says that they could. Out of nowhere, the bear. Had to burp. Sorry. Slowly scrolling. Kit Kat. Oliver and her Kit Kat were gone. Oh no.